Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar. I always feel like I should say that slower, but I don't. Anyway, we have a cool young guitar player with us today who I actually had the good fortune to meet when I was up in Nashville a few weeks ago. We're with Gideon Boley. He's originally from Dallas, Texas, and he lives in Nashville. He's a touring and studio multi-instrumentalist playing guitar, pedal steel, and piano, which is kind of rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. He graduated Belmont recently at the young age of 21, and he was blessed with the opportunity to play a couple of shows with a band called Mute Math, as well as continuing playing with a local artist named Savannah Conley. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. And he's also a YouTube celebrity. We'll talk about his channel at the end. Real quick, before we get started, just curious, what was the last piece of music you listened to today before you got on this call?
Before this call, I was actually working on learning some of John Legend's old record. A cat named Blake Mills produced that record, and I hadn't listened to it for a few months, and I kind of just thought about it this morning, and it's a damn good record. It's so good. Yeah.
You know, it would really make me happy if someone under the age of 30 actually listened to something that I am familiar with one time. That would feel good. I mean, I know who John Legend is, but I never listened to anything that you guys listen to. I feel like I'm a dinosaur.
Well, you see, it's weird now. It's like I was thinking the other day I should go back and like listen to some of the older stuff. Like to me, I've never listened to Sheryl Crow or like in Scale, and I was like, my parents listen to them. I guess I should go listen and see like what they're about and all that stuff. And yeah, they're pretty good.
Like if someone said, I just put down a Grand Funk, we're an American band, I'd be like, wow, yes. That I could relate to. Well, thank you for sharing that. So what are you working on now that you're most excited about? It seems like you're just like things are starting to blow up a little bit for you or in the middle of it.
Sort of. Doing a couple things. I'm working with an artist I'm actually only playing pedal steel with her, which is a little bit different. For me, because I'm mainly a guitar player, and working. So as you mentioned earlier, it was with Savannah Conley, and we've actually got some stuff coming up, and she's got some stuff that's in the works that's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited to see where she goes here in the next few months. There's no telling like what could happen right now.
Cool. Do you know her from Belmont? Because she's a Belmont grad, isn't she? I
don't think she graduated from Belmont, but it's really interesting how that came about. So her dad, for anyone who doesn't know, her dad is John Conley, and he played with, and I'm going to draw a blank on his name. Huge country star, right? It'll come back to me. Her dad's a really well-known guitar player. Okay. And he's actually the brother-in-law of the worship pastor at my church in Dallas, where I'm from.
Wow. Talk about connecting the dots, man. That's awesome.
I knew Danny was the worship pastor's name. I knew that his brother was he was in the industry. And yeah, so it was just random. Like his son, Jake, texted me one day and was like, hey man, do you want like a pedal steel gig? At this time, I've only been playing it for like 5 months and I'm just terrible at it and all that. It's like, yeah, sure. Why not? Showed up thinking it was just like a little thing. Turns out it's like, all right, we're doing this thing. So
very cool, man. It's funny how I hear so many stories like this, and you can never connect the dots moving forward. It's always like you look. Yeah, it's so cool how things fall into place.
Right.
Let me ask you this: as a young guitarist, pretty much at the beginning of your career, what are the most important things you need to do to kind of stay relevant and so people know you're around? Because I know it's a constant hustle, regardless at what stage of your career you're at. Are there things in particular you make sure you do or not do to stay on top of consciousness for people?
Yeah. So one thing that I'd really like to kind of emphasize there would be creating your own sound. You have all these people who can, dude, I've got this Van Halen tapping thing going on, or I'm just really going to rip on the Jeff Beck tremolo arm thing. and then you end up just sounding like them, and you don't sound like anybody else. So especially like here in town, like if you want to get like, or if you want to stay relevant, and I guess in that case, it helps to like have something that you do really well, where people go, oh, Gideon, he's a crazy good slide player. He's great at pedal steel, and he can swing if you need him to. And people are like, oh, I need all those things. Here, let me give him a call or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you're like, would you be called a utility player?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
But except that utility players aren't necessarily like primary guitar players as well. Is that accurate?
That I know of. Like a lot of my friends who like play utility, I don't know. Grant, who also plays for Savannah, plays guitar, mandolin, and fiddle. So technically, he's the utility player of the band.
Okay, yeah.
But he's also the only electric player. I don't know. It's kind of weird how it works out, but yeah.
Do you like playing pedal steel and slide?
Yeah, two totally different things. I think pedal steel is something I just picked up like a little bit over a year ago, just for the heck of it, and then slide was long before that. But yeah, I used to hate it when I first picked it up because it's such a damn hard instrument to learn.
The pedal steel.
Yeah, the pedal steel. It's a nightmare to tune and all that stuff. But once you figured it out a little bit, you start really enjoying it.
How many is it? 6 string and tuned like a guitar or no?
Pedal steel is 10 strings and it's tuned.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's so like a Nashville standard is E9 chromatic.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you have 3 pedals and 4 knee levers that all do all different bends, and some bend 2 strings, some bend just one up and down, or yeah, there's a lot going on.
So it's like literally has nothing to do with guitar, like a conventional electric guitar. I mean, outside of you're playing with an instrument with strings, knowing how to play guitar, it really doesn't help you be a better.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Well, I mean, the chromatics on the neck are the same, but that's not a guitar thing. That's a music thing.
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to have a really melodic brain to think about like where you're going to go with it, because it's kind of hard to like visualize when you're sitting down in front of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why I wanted to pick it up, but I did.
You made yourself a valuable asset by doing that.
Yeah, and I guess that was one thought I had behind it. I was like, there's not very many pedal steel players. I'm just going to get one for the heck of it. And then didn't really think anything of it until people were like, hey, you're pretty decent. I guess we'll hire you.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have this gig if you didn't do it. So,
Yeah, I mean, not complaining.
Good for you, man. How did you get, okay, you told me to get the gig with Savannah. Is there anything else, like strategies you have for getting gigs at this point?
Number one thing, be a good hang.
Everybody says that, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. There's people where I'm just like, I wish he was better at being just a good dude. He's a killer player, but I didn't really like hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Just having a good sense of humor, a good conversation, not just being like just some dude who like rips on everybody else. Like you got to be supportive of all the other people around you, because that's how this town works. And
very much so.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing for me.
And so when you go out to a place like Mercy Lounge, it was funny because I bumped into a lot of guys I know that night, and I'm a tourist in town basically, so I didn't know that that's where a lot of musicians hang out. Is going out to a place like that a situation where, and I know, let me be clear in my question, I'm not implying you're going to a place like that to get business, but if you go out to a place like that to hang out, does it often turn into situations where, because there are so many musicians there, you get to talking to somebody, and even if you're not getting a gig that night, a week later or 2 weeks later, you'll say, hey, Gideon, this is so-and-so, we met at Mercy Lounge tonight. I know, my brother-in-law or my band is looking for a new guitar player. Do things like that happen?
Yeah, I guess they do. For example, so that night I was playing with Kip Allen, who you had on the show, last week or something. And, oh man, how did I get that? Yeah, so we were playing for an artist named Baylor Wilson. Kip's been playing for her for a hot minute, but that was actually my first show with her. And I actually, we had our first rehearsal that morning. She was like, "Hey, you free? You free tonight? You want to come play this?" And I was like, sure. I'll be there.
Never say no.
Yeah, right. I was
say yes to everything.
So that was actually our first show together. And I got that because the band leader was the other guitar player, Tyler. And all those people right there are all good friends. Yeah. And I've been buddies for a long time.
Tyler Tomlinson?
Tyler
okay.
Who, side note, that dude is a monstrous player.
Is he really? I spoke with him like a week ago. Really, really nice guy. Very cool dude.
He's an incredibly gifted human. Yeah, so I guess that does kind of happen because while you're there, you're like, oh, Kip would drive me aside and be like, "Hey, have you met this guy? Have you met this guy?" Be like, "Oh yeah, he's playing with us tonight. He's gonna be great." Stuff like that, and it's just kind of like you're not really trying to get gigs, but people will hear you and are like, "Oh, I'm gonna remember that guy. He's good."
Well, you're not going to get any gigs sitting in your house. I promise you that.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know, no one's running around town saying, "Where the hell's Gideon?" You know, or anybody else for that matter. You know, I'm not just singling you out. You know, you got to get out there and be visible, and I think it works the same in business as well. You know, you got to get out and talk to people and make relationships. Exactly. You're originally from Dallas. What was your childhood like?
Man, it was crazy. I had a crazy childhood. So, I grew up in a musical family. My mom has played piano for 40-something years. She's been doing it for a long time.
Professionally?
Professionally for a little bit, and then mostly like church stuff,
sure,
stuff like that. But so I've always been around it, and started piano when I was 3, guitar when I was 5. Been playing ever since.
Wow.
And it was just like it was really busy. It was really busy. I was actually born in Houston, and remember the whole Enron thing?
Sure.
Yeah. So my dad was actually part of the accounting firm that was
Arthur Anderson.
Yeah. So he worked for Arthur, and when that whole thing collapsed, we actually moved to Dallas, and then that's where I really dove into music. But yeah, all the way through high school, it was like get up, go to high school, gymnastics practice, and then come home, and then practice until 9:30, and then go to bed for 4 years. So really busy, not a lot of time to do stuff. I was also super young, so yeah, I don't know.
That's good. That's good, man. That's funny. You know what? So your dad's a CPA.
Yeah, he is.
That's what I was when I got out of college. How funny is that? Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. I've got an older sister, younger brother, and a younger sister. We're all 2 years apart.
Do they all play music, or?
We all did for a while. The only person who doesn't anymore is my younger brother.
Okay, so your older sister, younger sister, and you all play.
Yeah.
Are they all any of them in Nashville besides you?
They aren't. I was the only one in the family that was like, I'm gonna move away, and then right on out.
What made you do that? What made you move to Nashville?
It was a God thing, honestly. It was my junior year in high school, and my sister had seen Christmas at Belmont, which is a huge thing that Belmont does every year, Christmas celebration for the Advent season. And she was like, I think I want to go to Belmont for music. And so we're like, all right, cool. So we came up to town to visit, and for my sister to visit Belmont, and my mom kept like punching me in the arm, like, get in, pay attention, you might want to come here. Like, not really knowing. And by the end of the 30-minute tour, I just kind of looked at my mom and was like, hey, I'm coming to this school. I know I'm going to be here. So, yeah, and it was the only school I applied to and the only school I got into. And here we are now, 4 years later, graduated, still living here.
And did your sister did not go?
Yeah, sister didn't go. She ended up going to UNT, which is still not a bad school.
That's a music school.
Yeah, it is. It's like
okay.
top music schools in the country.
Yeah.
So she didn't do too bad either.
What made her go there instead of Belmont?
I think cost was a big thing because, I mean, Belmont's really expensive.
Yeah.
And he's a local school. It was a lot closer to family, way cheaper than Belmont. So with the same education, you probably would have gotten to Belmont. So
sure.
That's why she decided to go there.
Very cool, man. if you like had a magic wand, and you could wave it, where would you see yourself like the next 3 to 5 years and maybe even longer term?
That's a great question. I think I still see myself wanting to be on the road at that time. So I'm only 21 now. I'm graduated, and I've got so much. I feel like I have a lot of time in front of me.
You do.
Yeah. It's like,
I hope you feel like that. You're freaking 21. If you feel like you got a few years left, man, you need to get some counseling or something.
yeah. So yeah, I think I still see myself on the road, just kind of going out every night, doing the thing, and just living the dream. Honestly, it's been a dream for me for a few years now, and I'm really excited to see where everything leads.
Awesome. What would you want to be doing long term? Do you think you want to be a road warrior forever, or do you eventually want to, do you want to like produce? Do you want to do session work? Do you want to, what?
So my full-time dream would be to be on the road, and then when I'm home, session work just all the time. So yeah, eventually, like, I would love to have a family and just be able to do session stuff at the house, tour for as long as I can, and because I know that I really want to do that, and I don't know. I think that'd be just a lot of fun. I want to be working in music in some capacity for the rest of my life, and I think that'd be one good way to do it. Would just be kind of producing, getting back down to sessions and all that stuff. So
cool. Yeah, I've as you probably know, I've talked to a load of session guys, and they have a very difficult job. Do you know Rob McNelly?
I do.
Rob was kind enough when I came up. He and I kind of became friends, and he invited me to a session. And so I got to see an evening session 6 to 9 and sit in and watch the whole process. It was like really amazing to see. They do 5 songs in 3 hours.
Yeah, and it's so fast. And some of the songs, like 2 of the songs are really good. The other 2 songs were pretty good, and one of them was like, shouldn't have been in there probably. And right.
I have this expression, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, but they did. That was like, holy crap, how'd you get, and it's hard. I interviewed Jerry McPherson, well, I'm sure you know, and Jerry said, I said, what's the thing you dislike most about what you do? And he goes, song triage. So you know what triage is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you go in the emergency room, it's a triage nurse. And he said, it's like a song comes in and it's basically dead, has no, it's on the table here, and someone's deemed that it should be breathing, and we got to breathe life to it. And what I was unaware of at the time is that basically you're paying session rates and you're getting guys to write a song for you.
Yeah,
and put it. I mean, that's the best. The best bang for your buck. Go in with vocals and nothing, and give it to session guys and have them write your music. And it's like, it's not fair to them at all that they get no songwriting credits, but it's just, that's the service they provide. I was like shocked.
Right.
It's
just like, and the ability for those guys to just come in. Man, I was listening to a podcast with, it was a drummer podcast, but with Tim Pierce.
Yeah.
Who Tim Pierce is. Yeah. And he was talking about like what he does for a living. And basically he was like, man, my job is basically to write a hook. If I can write a hook guitar line, good to go. Yeah. And that's what those guys do. They just come in, they're like, oh, here's a shitty song. And, I had this idea. Da-da-da-da. And then they're like, all right, the song's banging now. Yeah. Here's some big, anyways. It's crazy how those guys can do that. And Kip and Tyler Tomlinson are both dudes like that who are, I've heard some like terrible songs that they've gone in on and they come back out and I'm like, frick y'all.
It's really good. Yeah. That's what the most amazing is. And they're all, and especially like, I like Rob's playing. He's a blues guy and I'm a blues guy, and he's so tasty in his licks and his fills. Mm-hmm. And it was just like great to see how he'll do a little fill and all of a sudden, like you just said, that's the song. That's the hook that the whole song is spun around. So it's
Right.
really a fascinating process. What kind of guitar? What's your go-to guitar? What are you playing right now?
So I actually only have two guitars. They're kind of both my go-to. One is a Mexican Tele that I've done a ton of work to, different wiring, pickups, and all that stuff. Sanding the neck down, fretwork. That's usually what I'm going to grab if I'm going to play anything in standard tuning.
What kind of pickups do you have on there? You said you put in pickups. What kind of pickups did you put in there?
I put in Fralin overwounds. The bridge is 10% overwound to give it a little bit more spank. And then the neck is 5% overwound to kind of warm it up for jazz.
Yeah.
And I've got tone knob pots that I've switched out to help me like guide tone and all that stuff.
Do you do all that yourself?
I picked out the parts. I had somebody help me do all the soldering and stuff.
Yeah, because that's not like that's a separate. That's like, you know, saying, "Oh, you repaired my roof." It's a separate skill set. Even though it's like you live in the house, you know, maintaining it and putting a roof on are different. Playing a guitar and putting in pots are, you know, dramatically different skill sets.
I think it's something that I should learn how to do. Soldering's really not that hard. I think I'm just too lazy to go learn how to do it.
Well, just get on a gig with a tech.
Yeah, probably minutes and be good to go.
Yeah, and you say, "Hey, can you do this?" And you just kick them a few bucks, and you're good to go.
Right, do that. And then I've got a second guitar. It's a '59 Silvertone U1 that people like lose their shit over. People love that guitar for some reason.
I'm sure.
I don't get it. And what I've done to that is I call it the Blake Mills mod, where I put a P90 in the bridge, which is unconventional, and I put it like smack dab next to it to make it a little bit more crisp because it's a hollow body guitar.
Yeah.
And then I put a 3-way switch on it, and the middle is out of phase.
Oh, wow. So you get all sorts of shit going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Do you use that for slide, or is that like...
Yeah, that guitar stays in an open tuning, and it's usually down in open C or open C sharp, so it's really, really low. But if I need a capo, I just will. But that's my slide guitar.
Why would you do it in C sharp?
When it's fresh strings and when it's tuned down that low, that guitar opens up. I've tried, and like, because it is a hollow body guitar, I tried putting it in like D, open D or open E flat, and it just kind of fed back in like all the wrong ways because it's got an aluminum nut too. So you have to be conscious about like string vibration and all that crap. But once I got it down that low, it didn't tend to feed back that much, or I don't know, it just sounded really good, and so I just kind of left it.
Oh, cool. I give you credit for that because it's, you know, it's good experimenting. I talk to you guys, and I didn't want to say I play guitar because you guys play guitar, but you know, I fool around with guitar, and I would never experiment like that for some reason. Probably because I don't have the time, but I think it's really cool when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, that and like different string gauges. String gauges are like a huge deal. I think people kind of overlook them sometimes.
So what's been share your experience with that?
For me, string gauges is about how the tension of the guitar. For example, on my Tele, I use custom strings from a guy named Gabriel Tenorio. He makes hand-wound strings out in LA, and he's got a Tele set that's he calls it the Nashville 10 set, and it's for Teles. And the two things that's different is that you normally have like a 10 set would be 10 to 46, right? Mm-hmm. What's different about his is that the low E and the low A aren't 46 or 36, whatever those are. It's 44 and a half and 33 and a half. And that allows for, it's a different tension, especially for a guy like me. I don't use a pick anymore. I only use my hands.
Dude, you're a badass.
So strumming something like that, or even picking, there's a different feel to the guitar with the different tension. And then, yeah, it's a feel thing for the players. I don't really know if it's necessarily heard out in the crowd, but yeah.
How long have you been playing without a pick?
A little bit over a year and a half. About the same time I picked up pedal steel, I I tried using those thumb picks and I couldn't do it. I didn't like the way it felt on my fingers.
They're weird. You don't really have it doesn't feel like you're really connecting with the instrument.
Yeah, I feel like I couldn't express it well enough.
Yeah.
So I tried for a while. I asked around and people told me about acrylics. So I went to acrylic nails for a little bit, and I eventually got rid of those too because I got tired of, one, paying for it, and two, they broke all the time.
Yeah, maintenance.
It just didn't have time for that stuff.
And they look really weird. Like you'll be out and you're like, I don't know. You kind of look like a woman when you have those on. It's just
like, you play guitar, right? I'm like, yes, I do.
It's just very unnatural looking.
Yeah. So I ended up getting rid of those and ended up just like clipping all my nails off. So I don't even have nails anymore. And it's down to the rough pads on my fingers where calluses have grown now. That's like a different sound. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love playing without a pick, but I don't practice it enough to be to justify being good at it. But it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it's different. It helps too that when I was growing up, when I was like learning guitar, my mom forced me to take 6 years of classical guitar.
Oh, wow.
You don't play with a pick.
Yeah.
Ass neck, and you can only use your fingers.
And and their exercises are brutal there, man.
Yeah, it's brutal. So like I have big hands. I'm able to reach different chords and a little bit further than I feel like some people could normally reach.
Are you tall? Yeah, you're about what, 6'1", 6 feet?
I'm 5'11", 6. I'm like right in this.
Yeah, so you're tall. Yeah. Wow. Who are your biggest influences guitar wise?
Two people. Brad Paisley and Blake Mills.
And who's the second one?
Blake Mills.
Okay. I'm laughing because everybody that went to Belmont has been influenced. Says Brad Paisley. Not surprisingly, I mean, he's been a big influence. I mean, he's been a big influence on everybody playing that's interested in country music. Cool.
He's the only reason I can chicken pick because I locked myself in my room freshman year and just learned all of his material just to learn how to chicken pick because I was like, oh my gosh, how is he so good?
Did you get to meet him?
Oddly enough, I met him. So there's a gear convention here in town called Summer NAMM, and he was running around showing off the
Brad Paisley guitar.
Yeah, the new Paisley guitar. Yeah. And afterwards, I was hanging out. I was working with a pedal company. They're doing their demos and stuff, and he happened to walk by, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck!"
Well, now or never, man.
I was like, I have to shake his hand. I have to. So freaked out a little bit right there, but yeah.
I think I'm going to go to that show this coming year because this show has kind of blown up enough that I probably just need to go to meet some more people, and it's kind of cool because I talk to people now and they're like, "Oh man, I listen to your show all the time," and it's really weird when people say that to me. It's kind of funny. I don't know why, but it is. Well, I mean, which is the goal. I mean, obviously, I want people to listen to the show or at least have an awareness of it, But it's just really funny when someone, because I'm wondering, like, what is their perception of me? Because they kind of, like when you hear somebody all the time, you feel like you know them. So, right? I mean, it's like, you have a sense that you know a person when you hear them all the time. So I'm always curious what my perception, what the perception is of me. Not like, am I afraid it's good or bad? I'm just curious what it is in general, right. Good, bad, or otherwise. Just curious. I mean, I don't think it would be bad. I would hope not. I mean, I don't see any reason for it, but if it is, I'm sure there's a couple of guys that think that Garber's an asshole. That's okay. It's a free country. Tell me something about yourself people would be either surprised to know or would find a little odd. Besides the fingernail thing. Yeah.
I would freak out at that all the time. All my friends are like, dude, what's up with your hand?
Well, it's funny. If I had those nails on, who'd be giving me the most shit? My wife. I could just see that. She'd be like busting my balls so bad.
Oh, dude, you should have seen my mom. What'd you do to your hands? Mom, don't worry about it.
It's a phase. It's a phase. I'll be through it soon.
It was an 8-month phase that I was like, oh, okay, this is stupid. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Interesting thing. I was a gymnast for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All the way through middle school and high school. And then junior and senior year of high school, I was actually, we went to state 2 years in a row for gymnastics competitions.
In Texas?
Yes.
So you must be in like awesome shape.
Not anymore.
No, I mean, you couldn't have fallen apart. I mean, you don't start like smoking cigarettes and eating chips or anything.
No. I'm not in terrible shape, but I'm decent.
Well, I mean, for a musician, you must be in incredible shape.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I've out of the 150 musicians I've probably spoken with, 10% maybe work out.
Oh man.
Yeah, but you know what? That might be the percentage of non-musicians too. I don't know.
Probably. Working out does wonders for you.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
For creatives, it does absolutely wonders.
Well, not only that, you can't appreciate this now, but like in probably even 10 years, you'll start seeing it. You look on Facebook and you're like, holy shit, that was the hot girl in high school. And what the hell happened? Or like that was the quarterback and oh my God, it's like,
yeah,
it's good. Like you take care of yourself. So like I'm 54 and I feel like, I mean, my knees are shot, but I'm in better shape than I was when I was in my 20s, just because I've kept that ball rolling, hell, absolutely, man. So that's really good. So you must be incredibly disciplined, because that's you got to do a lot of training for that.
Yeah, we would practice 6 days a week, and we would practice during school hours. And we would till after school. So last period for us would be 3 to 3:45, and then we would practice till 7.
Wow. So what is the biggest, having done that for so long, I'm sure it made a big impact in your life in many ways, but what do you think was the biggest takeaway or maybe life lesson even that you learned, if there was one?
Discipline. You can put anything, you can literally put anything, how do I phrase that? You can do anything you put your mind to. As long as you're willing to do the work. Yeah. Do the work, you can do it.
Maybe you've answered this question when you just said, what's your non-musical superpower?
Non-musical superpower. I'm really good at building Legos.
My man.
I've been dying for a long time. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd too, so I've been dying to get one of those huge like Starship cruisers, the one that was like 10,000 pieces. And I just want to build it in my living room. Okay,
so Mr. and Mrs. Boley, this will come out after Christmas. That being said, young Gideons has a birthday coming up in 2018, and here you heard it first. Surprise him with a Lego Star Wars thingamajig. Oh my God! What's your? This is an unfair question, so you don't have to answer if you don't want. What's your biggest weakness, like your kryptonite?
Biggest weakness. That's a tough question. I should have thought about this.
What's that?
I should have thought about this before.
It is a tough question.
I think if somebody were to offer me a really nice glass of whiskey, I think I'd be like, all right, I'm in.
That's not a weakness. That's called being human. Why would you not accept a glass of whiskey? You don't drink at all?
I do. Yeah. I'm a whiskey fanatic.
Oh yeah. I love whiskey. What kind of whiskey do you like?
Right now I'm in a rye phase. So I'm drinking this double rye from High West Distilleries. Incredible. It's so good.
Have you ever tried Lagavulin?
Dude, that is my all-time favorite.
Yeah, me too. It's great, isn't it? I like really peaty whiskeys like that.
Same. Yeah. That was the first bottle I ever bought.
You know what? One of the first whiskeys I ever tried, it wasn't really a whiskey, it was a blend, but it was Johnny Walker Blue. The first time have you ever tried that? I haven't. It's on my list. It's so smooth. It's like water. And I drank it, and I don't drink a lot at all. So I was like buzzed immediately. And because I just don't drink often. Like I said, I work out and I try to stay in shape. And I said, man, if I ever became an alcoholic and I have a lot of money, this is the stuff that I'm going to be alcoholic on, because it was so, I mean, it was like, you know,
just good.
Oh my, it was so smooth. It was amazing.
Incredible.
Any bad habits?
Bad habits? No, not really.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you did, man.
I don't think so.
Do you have any, besides Star Wars, do you have any interests or hobbies outside of music?
It's sort of music related. I love collecting vinyl.
Oh yeah.
So I'll go through, and I love like listening to vinyl too. Me and my best friend would go to, there's a record store, like a used record store right here by my house. And I mean, we could go in there and drop $30 and get like 8 records each. And it was just anything from old jazz to folk to 80s rock, like you name it. We would just sit down and just listen. And I don't know, it was one of those things we just like kind of bond over it.
Yeah, yeah.
And really, really enjoy that.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I grew up in New York City, and I used to go down on the weekends down to Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
Same thing. When I was much younger, like 14, 15, and I'd go down there with like $25 or $30, and same thing. I try to come home with as many records as I possibly could, because you can get some great used records at really cheap prices.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was good times, man. That's a nice habit. If you could be a superhero for a week, which one would you be?
Does Batman count?
Yeah, man, he's a superhero. Last time I checked, no.
Heck yeah, Batman. Awesome.
I only ask this question to younger guys because it's just more appropriate. But someone told me the other day they would be something. I thought it was like an acid, but it's magic mushroom something.
What?
Man, I can't find it, but it was Magic Mushroom Man. I never heard of it. And he said he's in the Justice League of America in D.C. I said, oh, okay. If you say it, I believe it. But I thought it was dropping acid or something. Magic mushrooms. I'm like, yeah, we did that in college. He's like, no. I was like, okay. Who's had the biggest influence on your life?
Biggest influence? Gymnastics coach.
Really? Okay, that's really good. In what way? How has he impacted you?
I was kind of a bad kid when I was growing up. I would just do crap at home to terrorize my brothers and sisters, and my mom didn't really like it. And she knew that I spent, 40 hours a week with Coach, and she'd be like, Coach Loya, you need to speak into Gideon here a little bit. And I would walk into practice the next day not knowing that she had called him, and he'd be like, what'd you do to your family? And I don't know, over time, over the course of like that 6 years of my life, he really spoke into me, and I just guess different ways, because my dad was traveling as a CPA, so he wasn't really home. He spoke into me a lot.
That's great. Man, make sure you have him listen to this, because he'll be really happy to hear that.
I'll send it to him. Yeah,
because people don't realize the impact they have on other people's lives unless someone makes him aware, and he'd be really happy to know that. I'm willing to bet you anything. So make sure when this comes out, you get it over to him. Anything you're currently trying to improve on, either musically? I'm sure like you're always trying to be a better musician, but anything specific musically or personally or business or anything else?
Personally, I feel like I should read more. That's just something that I never like really did, and I've like a lot of my friends do read a little bit more, and I feel like better educated conversations. I feel like so I feel like I should start reading a little bit more. I've started like getting down that road. I get distracted because there's a guitar sitting behind me. So you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just easy. It's like, oh, here I'm gonna read a chapter, and then here's a guitar. I'm gonna grab that real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start reading more.
Good. The nice thing about reading is you can teach yourself anything, like my real job is I run a marketing agency, and I learned everything about marketing from reading and going to seminars and then doing it. I mean, I'm a CPA, a graduate of college, like I said, which has nothing to do with it. Totally opposite of marketing. So that's the nice thing about reading. You can learn. And I've done so many business projects in the last 20 years, and I've just learned about them through reading. Funny enough, when I started playing guitar, I probably read at least a book a month for 18 years. And I don't think in the last 2 years, I've probably read 2 or 3 books. That's it. Because I devote my time to guitar. And I feel bad about that. My older son, Nick, who's actually older than you. He said, "Dad, you deserve some time off." So I said, "You know what, Nick, you're right. Thank you." So that was my rationalization for stopping reading. What are you looking forward to in the future, either musically, professionally, or personally?
I'm stoked to see where I don't really know like what's going to be going on here. It's kind of hard to tell because there's just so much going on in my life right now where I could easily get on this path, take that road. You know what I mean? And I'm really excited to see where the Lord just kind of throws me. Because he could easily, like, this Savannah thing could take off like any day and be like, hey, we're going to be gone for the next 3 months.
Sure.
Let's go. Or someone else could literally call me after this is done and I could be gone. You know what I mean? So, I'm really looking forward. I just kind of live day by day going, all right, what decisions can I make today that would help benefit me either right now in this moment or tomorrow? You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. How do you make decisions? So let's say someone does make a phone call to you. Do you have like an evaluation process that you would go through, or do you basically, you know, because you're early in your career, are you basically at the point where you don't, you know, you said you say yes to everything? Because it's really tough to say no to something at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I've been blessed to grow up with, so I grew up in the church as well and played every Sunday and made some incredible friends there, a lot of which who live here now and like do the guitar thing full time. And just kind of sitting around, being around those tables, listening to conversations and just kind of being present. It kind of speaks into you in a way that you wouldn't think. So, for example, got a call for a gig. This was a few months ago, and I ended up turning it down because I heard the name and I immediately thought, I was like, oh, I got 3 friends who played for him a few years ago. And so I called him back and I was like, hey, give me like 10 hours or whatever, 12 hours to think about it. And call those guys. I think about like, especially with something like that, like, oh, dude, don't do that. I don't think it'd be a good fit for you. Or I guess I just trust my friends a little bit more if I don't have like the wisdom or understanding to take on an object or take on a project. Kind of ask them kind of what I should do, or even I would ask my mentor, like, hey, kind of in this predicament, I don't really know what to do here. But yeah, it is really hard to say no to something like that, especially if it's like, yeah, we're gonna be gone for 6 months. You wanna hop on this tour, and it's really hard to be like, I really want to do that, but no, it wouldn't be good for me as a human to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, I don't know. It kind of just comes down to, I feel like you can be a little bit picky if it's something like totally out of your wheelhouse that you're like, I don't know.
Well, it had to be a bit of a red flag that 3 different guys you knew have played in that gig as well. Like, yeah, that's not a normal churn where I'm assuming this is like a 6 month to a year period. You got 3 different. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was over the last few years where they like played and they moved on to another gig. But yeah, it was like, I called them asking, they were like, don't do it. It wouldn't be good for you. He can totally find somebody else for that.
Great.
So especially if I see something that's like enticing, or I think, oh, I think I could do that. Some people would be like, no, you wouldn't be the best guy for the job. And then I usually tell them that, and then they end up with another guy who ends up being the right guy for the job. Yeah. So it kind of depends on like the situation, I guess.
So you're really looking at it from not only your standpoint, you're trying to be of service in a sense as well to, hey, I appreciate this, but I'm probably not the best fit for you. And in knowing that you're not the best fit for them, you also know they're not the best fit for you.
Right. And you have to take a step back and look at it objectively in the same sense. Yeah, I wouldn't be good for this. I'm sorry. Like, I can recommend a guy for you.
Cool. Last question, man. Another tough one. Do you have an unanswerable question? Like is there one question that always seems to float around in your head that you seem to keep asking yourself?
Why am I here? They say Nashville is a, 10-year town, 7-year town or something like that. And you feel like, especially after being here, I feel like I've been here a long time, a little over 4 years. Mind you, I was in school most of that time, so I wasn't really focused on like getting gigs, I guess you could say. More focused on doing the actual work. But I don't know, some days you just kind of wake up, you're like, oh man, should I be doing something else right now? And you kind of go through that phase, and then it kind of comes along where something clicks, like later that day, you're like, oh yeah, that's why I moved here, to do that. Or you run into somebody, an old friend you'd see at a coffee shop, and you're like, oh, that's right. I'm here for the community, I'm here for the love of music. And that's kind of it.
If it gives you any peace of mind, I think that exact conversation goes on with everybody who owns a business from time to time.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
It does, because I've had that conversation with myself and with my wife many times. In the last 20 years, I've been working for myself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be during bad times. It's just, there's always you want to fulfill your life's purpose in a sense.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's a normal question, I think, to be asking when that's when you have that train of thought of, I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I'm where I'm supposed to be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want to sort of like not float through life. Just, the wind blows you here and there. And I think if you're a type A, that tends to be more of an issue, and I'm definitely a type A, and you're obviously, at least a bit of a type A.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey man, I really appreciate your time. You're like a super nice young guy, and I'm really excited myself to see where you're going. And next time I'm in Nashville, I'd like to probably see you playing somewhere, man. That wouldn't surprise me at all if you're playing in a major place. Do you know Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith, I don't.
He's from Texas. I think he's from just outside of Dallas. Drummer.
I'll look him up.
Yeah, I think he went to Belmont. He maybe a little older than you.
Cool.
Just a little bit. Hey, I can't thank you enough for your time. I want to tell some people where they could find you online. First of all, it's Gideon Boley, Gideon Boley, Boley on Instagram. And he also has a pretty good YouTube channel called Gear Hangs. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my best friend were sitting around a couch one day, and we were just talking gear, and one of us goes, dude, what if we just like filmed this and put it on YouTube as a webisode series? And because we're both like majorly into gear, and so yeah, we just kind of started doing it. It's kind of random. We don't really keep to a schedule kind of thing, but you'll see them pop up here and there. Just me and him sitting on the couch talking about like what's going on in the gear community, what gear we've gotten recently, what we're digging, and stuff like that. It's super rad.
YouTube Gear Hangs. Let's check it out right now. Here you go. Gear Hangs YouTube. Episode 9, special guest. Very cool. So check out Gideon online on YouTube. It's at Gear Hangs. I just subscribed. Now you have another subscriber. And I'll look forward to checking out those episodes. Yeah, this looks really cool. And I see you periodically change couches, so you keep it real. And sometimes you're even on separate chairs with coffee.
You'll find coffee as a common theme in the episodes.
That's good, man.
That's great.
Hey, listen, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Check out Gideon online at youtube.com, Gear Hangs, and Gideon Boley on Instagram, Gideon Boley, and support him. He's a good guy. Any final words, man?
Dude, thanks so much for having me on the show. I absolutely enjoyed my time here. It was great.
You're very, very welcome. I enjoyed my time with you, so it's a mutual thing. Thank you very much for spending your time with me.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Many thanks again to Gideon Boley for spending time with us. I certainly appreciate it. And go to everyonelovesguitar.com and sign up to get notified about future episodes along with some cool stuff for guitar players. And most important, follow directions. Be nice, number 1. Go play your guitar, number 2. And very most important, have fun. So till next time, peace and love, and I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.